So last class we were slightly discussing about few topics in economy with related to which is related to your macro economic stability, okay, bond economy, with relation to some investments, that is private investments and so on. So today we will continue with that. So the first thing what we saw is bank credit, right? So we were talking lastly, we were talking about bank credit. So how that particular bank credit can have asset quality. So what is asset quality? And all these stuff we were discussing. So in this context, so what you call as FinTech? What is meant by FinTech?
Financial companies, technical.
Okay. Okay.
The technical support that provides to the financial companies.
Okay. So it is traditional finance plus technology, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for this FinTech, so what is a major development India had in first few years continuously to strengthen FinTech?
So UPI.
Okay. Then international level attraction towards FinTech sector. So what we did?
So on various platforms, we have promoted like the digital,
Okay.
like UPI and all on G20 and all.
No,
Like we have
that is fine.
also.
That is steps taken. But
Yes,
to
sir.
create that FinTech as a core part of the economy, so as a sector, to have international players. So what we try to, how we institutionalized it.
Maybe
So-
FDI and all has been allowed. So
And then, anybody? Institutionalization of FinTech
So
sector.
the JAM, Trinity, Jandhan, Aadhaar.
Okay. Okay. So all these are methods. So you are India Stack. Okay. So you have JAM or India Stack. Okay. So all these are methods by which this converges. But institutionalization, have you remembered Gift to City?
Yes, sir.
So what is it?
So Gift City is located in Gandhinagar and it is an international financial service center, and India wants to make it equivalent to Singapore in terms of international financial services that we can offer.
So that is Gujarat International Finance Tech City, right? In which we have various other aspects what we have in this regard. Okay. So in that only we try to have financial services linked to FinTech and other aspects which are institutionalized. We have even FinTech universities which are coming in. Okay. So remember that FinTech. So what is FinTech? What are the recent developments in FinTech? We try to put in. So what is actually India Stack? We also discussed last time, India Stack. So we discussed digital public infrastructure, right?
yes, sir.
So that in India, we call it as India Stack, right? In India Stack, what are the things we have? In digital public infrastructure, we saw identity layer, payment layer, data layer, right? Last time. Remember? So in that, so we have, say, usually digital public infrastructure consists of identity of a particular person, right? Then we have payment. So you use it for payments. And the third one is data enabler. That is data aggregator, right? So identity is nothing but your Aadhaar, e-sign, all these. Payments, you have UPI and other payments what you have. Say data storage, you have DigiLocker, all these stuff, right? So all these constitute what do you call it as India stack. Apart from that, CoWIN, okay, all these will come under India stack what we have. Okay. So remember, India stack is one of the important area where India is concentrating. That is what you call it as digitization or digital India kind of that India stack. Okay, so strengthening India stack is a basic idea. Okay, so these FinTech also attracted many startups, right? So what are startups basically? What are startups?
So working in some innovative sector, no.
Starting a
Yeah.
new
Oh, yeah. Working in something innovative sector and like less than 10 years, like the duration of the company and so. The sector matters a lot because if it is, it has to be related with something innovative.
Okay. Then
So starting a new business or something with a minimum capital and all.
okay. So startup is something a new term which we give. That's all, right? So already we have many companies which are coming in. So when we have something a new small scale industry which comes in, okay. Previously we call it as MSME. So now we have a term called startup which has its own marking of innovation. Okay. So MSME is a one where already there may be something. So you may continue to have, say for example, there may be a company which manufactures mirrors. Okay, so you will start one. That's all. So a dye company, you will start one. So already existing. Startup usually they are tied up with innovation. So to find a solution, you try to have some innovative solution, and that we call it as startup. That's the basic difference between an MSME and a startup. So startup is also an MSME, but it talks about more solutions, right? And innovations. Fine. So startups come under which ministry? That is, which is recognized. Which ministry recognizes it? Startups.
The Ministry of Commerce and Industry,
Ministry of Commerce. Yeah.
DPIIT.
So Ministry of Commerce. So it comes under Department of Promotion of Internal and Industry and Internal Trade. So DPIIT. Okay. So under Ministry of Commerce we have it. Okay. So when a startup attains a status of unicorn, what does it mean?
It is established, sir.
Okay.
1 billion. The
1 billion capital.
worth value.
Okay. So if it has $1 billion worth, then we call it as unicorn. Okay. So does India has unicorns?
Yes, sir, so many.
Okay. So what is the ranking we have?
Third largest.
Third largest. Okay. Third largest unicorn in the world. Okay. Right. After unicorn, do you have anything? So we have 10 billion. What is that? So 10 billion decacorn. Okay. Decacorn is 100 billion. So anyway, that goes on. Okay. Fine. So there is many things, what you call it as Mincorn, Sunicorn, right? So there were many others, but these are some of the basic thing what you need to know, because Decacon is in news. So India is in process of having Decacons, right? Fine. Okay. Now, when you go with so these are some news which we have in this particular area. What you have as startups. So there are many startups in certain areas like agriculture. As of now, we have drone technology. Okay, so especially service delivery. Okay, so these are some areas where we have more aspects what we have as startups. Okay. So when you put in agriculture, so what is the current contribution of agriculture to GVA or GDP?
So 17 to 18%.
So it is around 18%. Remember, it is around 18%. Okay. So we have a record food generation, right? This year. So every year we will increase the food production. So as of now, remember, we have around 230 million tons. Okay. So this is one important thing what you need to remember. Apart from that, some largest and thing you need to know. So you, of course, you will know largest producer of milk, pulses, spices, second largest in fruit, vegetables. Okay. So even in our Telegram channel, you had two info tags which you had all largest in all these aspects. Okay. So that particular thing, remember, especially you study about wheat export. Okay. So whether we are in what stage we are in wheat production.
Due to a very less production as compared to previous.
Wheat production,
Production
whether we are largest or wheat production is reduced. Okay. So what is the stage at which we are? So whether we are largest or second or third or 10th.
No, so we don't think we are the largest one
First
because
one is Russia.
We're the second largest, so I think
So wheat is second
China.
largest, but export wise we are just 10th, right?
Yes, sir.
So we don't export much, and our wheat is not largely accepted in many countries. So only few countries import our wheat, and moreover we also require more wheat, so we don't export wheat, but we export rice. Okay. So we are one of the top exporters of rice, especially these couple of years, non-basmati rice export is very high. Usually basmati rice export will be very high, but during COVID and after COVID, so we have more non-basmati rice export as well. Okay. So exports of agro products, especially the new one, just have a list, top 5. Okay, top 5 agro exports, top 5 agro imports. Okay, that is important because there are many changes. Traditionally, we have some exports, whereas now we have some changes coming in. Okay, fine. And last time also we said minimum support price, fair and remunerative price, okay, statutory minimum price. So all these prices try to understand, and especially the Commission for Agriculture cost and prices, that also you need to look into, right? Okay. And apart from that, in agriculture, we are also trying to establish the chain. Okay. So one is supply chain through ENAM. The second one is storage chain. Okay. So for storage chain, we have many programs, but now we also launched recently. One program was launched, that is world's largest storage plan using cooperative sector, okay, especially the primary health, primary agriculture cooperatives. So those godowns, what they have, through which we try to have all these aspects. Okay. Fine. Okay. So what is fragile 5 economies? What are fragile 5 economies? Actually, now we don't use this term, but still you need to know because previously India was one of the fragile 5 economies. So what are they? So there are 5 economies which were declared as fragile. That is Brazil, India, South Africa. That is in BRICS, 3 countries. Okay. Then Turkey, Indonesia. Okay. So these 5 countries were termed as fragile economies. Okay. So it was around 10 years before. Because in India at that time there were a lot of policy issues. We had a lot of policy paralysis. Okay, so 2012, 13, 14. So how India was. So at that time there were larger confusions also because of recessions across global economy. So at that time we had the term fragile 5 economies. Okay. Similarly, we have the emerging economies and emerging markets. Okay, both are not same. So try to have some idea on them. Okay, so especially with respect to G20. So all these stuff you need to remember. Okay. Then
Sir, for G20, why we need to do this,
because
sir?
G20 has some emerging economies, emerging market also, right?
Fragile 5 yet now.
No. Fragile 5 is previous, 10 years before. Okay, so at that time we had this term again came up in your survey as well as in budget terms. Okay. So that's the reason why you need to remember this. Sometimes, say at the time they didn't ask in 2013 to 15.
2013.
Okay, at that time they asked only emerging economies and markets. Hope you remember some questions related to Vietnam, South Africa. So which are emerging economies? They went on that. Okay, they didn't ask this one. And they asked G20 also. But they didn't ask about fragile 5. So in case as of now, if they want to ask which one of the following is about, what is fragile 5, then you need to know at least what is fragile 5, right?
Fragile 5 means they are dependent on the foreign investment.
No, the economy is much fragile where it can collapse some sectors. There may be some collapse like banking and so on at that time. Okay. So it was just a prediction of some, what do you call those? What companies? They call it as credit, what we call
Credit rating agency.
rating agencies, right? Credit rating agencies. So those agencies like JP Morgan and those. So those type of companies, they had these names
Credit rating
given,
for the
right?
company.
Yeah. Okay.
Fragile means it's also with the emerging economic countries.
No. So fragile is only these 5 because at that time they were all large economies at that time and also emerging economies. But that fragility was there in the system. So they termed it as fragile 5. Right? So if these 5 have any issues, then that will have further more issues in what do you call the recession at that particular period of time. Okay. Then also try to study about employment provident fund. Okay. So employment provident fund, its organization as well as provident fund kind of. Okay, so for whom the provident fund will happen. So what is the consequence in case if a provident fund subscribers are more, what it indicates? Okay, who will get EPF? So which type of companies? Okay, whether they are registered companies or unregistered. So all these type of questions. Already they have asked a few years before, but still you try to have a hold on it. Okay, so employee provident fund. Okay. Then with respect to FDI, so what do you know? What is the importance of FDI and how FDI is classified in India?
So basically, it's for the ownership and like only in the share, like you can invest. Even you do not need to take permission from the SEBI. Like you need to inform RBI and all, but like you do not need permission from SEBI. Like in FPI, you need. It gives the stability to the market because you cannot immediately withdraw, and the share and all happens in the primary market, and even it is not available in the secondary market. FDI shares are not available in the secondary market. A new technology and all comes through the FDI. So.
Okay. So, what is the difference between, I mean, whether a particular FII, that is foreign institutional investor, can convert it into an FDI?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When?
No, you can either be an FBI or you
So
can be only in one.
in case of a listed company, if you invest more than 10%, it's an FDI.
You
Otherwise,
consider it as FDI, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
But
And in
you
an
cannot, you
yes, sir.
cannot reverse it, right? But you can convert FII into FDI. Okay.
Yes, sir.
In case of minimum 10%. Okay. So same way, recently we had space and defense, right? So FDI in space and defense, you just have a look because recently they did it. So they reduced the level of areas which are opened, and many areas have been opened up to the private sector as well as public, I mean, foreign and domestic. Okay. So what are all the areas in space? We have 49%, 74%, 100%, and same way defense. Okay. What are all the areas we have 49, 74, and 100? Okay. So those areas you just capture it. Okay. And similarly, in welfare also, many schemes have been operative, but the schemes which are there, which is asked. So when you analyze the schemes which are asked in UPSC, you can see schemes which are enabling universal access are asked. So what is universal access? Especially to basic amenities. So those schemes which are providing your access to basic amenities has been asked. So previously, so you can see once Ujjwala was asked, right? And once Awas Yojana was asked. And once Jan Arogya, that is Ayushman Bharat was asked, right? So Jal Jeevan, so it was not asked in recent times. So try to have some idea on Jal Jeevan, right? And same way, accessing basic amenities in tribal areas. So that was also not yet asked. Okay, but there are schemes operating in that. Okay. So universal access for basic amenities, especially this one. Apart from that, renewable energy. Okay. So schemes related to renewable energy, which provides us basic amenities. Okay, so these area they haven't asked yet. Okay, and previously they asked this one, that is financial consolidation or financial efficiency, right? That is fiscal efficiency programs like JAM. Okay. Apart from that, this one, one nation, one ration card. So those aspects, okay, they were already asked. Okay, and apart from that, what which was not much asked was social security programs. Okay, so social security schemes, especially last time we saw no Prime Minister GKAY, that is Garib Kalyan Yojana. That one. Apart from that, this one, that is street vendors. So for them, Swanidhi is there, right? Swanidhi, PM Swanidhi scheme. So that also you try to have it. So social security schemes for unorganized sectors have not been asked much as of now. So this is one area in the schemes part which were not much asked. Okay, so try to concentrate there. So welfare program in that particular area it can be asked. Similarly, the this one, that is multi-poverty indices. So what we have, so what it actually constitutes. Okay, so multi-poverty index and so on. So those part try to concentrate. Okay. Right. So apart from that, I think you know, maternal mortality ratio, infant mortality ratio, gender equity, gross enrollment ratio, all these just have it's a standard thing. Okay, you need to just revise it. So all these definitions, you need to be very clear about it. Okay. And this one, Poshan Abhiyan, no? So what is all about Poshan Abhiyan? Because many things happened revolving this Poshan Abhiyan. So can you give me some list of programs which are there around Poshan Abhiyan?
So the program is implemented by Ministry of Women and Child Development.
Okay.
And it subsumes schemes like Anganwadi scheme, Integrated Child Development Services scheme, and I think a midday meal scheme as well. Yes, sir.
So we have Poshan 2.0, we have Poshan Tracker. Okay, these are all newly introduced, right? Then we have Mission Saksham, Anganwadi as a sub scheme. So all these are, I mean, these are all constituents of these Poshan Abhiyan, right? And we have programs for behavioral change in Poshan Abhiyan. Okay, so tackling malnutrition as a life cycle approach in Poshan 2. So all these are there as part of this. Okay, so try to check with this and try to link it with NEP 2020. Okay, in that we have schemes or targets, how to achieve it. Say breakfast scheme, all these things comes under this particular part. Okay, so national education policy part. Okay. So labor force, workforce, it's a standard thing what you need to remember. Okay. So what is labor force and workforce? What is the difference? Hmm?
Employed in workforce.
Hmm.
So labor force includes all the people from 15 to 59 years of age,
Hmm.
while workforce includes all those who are able and willing to work from 15 to 59 years
So
of age.
those who are actually working is workforce.
Yes, sir.
So those who are what do you call willing and those are not working but willing but working all put together, then we have labor force. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So that question you remember always. So these are certain areas where you need to be without any confusion always. And similarly, unemployment rate. What is unemployment rate? Because that is one of the important issues now. So unemployment rate, how they calculate it, what is its definition, how the calculation is there, and how labor force participation rate and unemployment rate is linked. Okay, all these areas try to have a look upon. So recently we have the periodic labor labor force survey, right? So try to have a look upon the recent one. Okay, because unlike others, now we have rural female led growth. Okay, so just check with that particular periodic labor force survey. It will also help you in mains also. Okay. Then you also go with working population ratio. All these definitions you try to handle it. Okay, working population ratio. So labor force, workforce, working population ratio, unemployment rate. Okay, so all these try to have it. And similarly, what is demographic transition? Demographic transition.
Population shift
What does it mean?
from rural to urban.
Okay.
So
Then?
the different cultures which come into our place due to immigration. So
It's not that.
Change in the age distribution of the population.
So age distribution, okay. So the birth and death, okay. So demographic transition is nothing but a trend which indicates some change in age distribution, okay. So now India is in the path of demographic transition. Why?
So because our
When
dependence
birth and
rate,
death.
So our old age population is increasing, right? And the work age population, that is 15 to 55. So it will be affected because our birth rate is also coming down. So total fertility rate on in general. So for many states, it's now 2.0, less than at least 2.5. Okay. So on an average. So naturally, we'll have this particular decline, and slowly we'll have in a larger sense by 2030 and 2040. So you'll have a substantial growth of old age population. Okay. So in case if we are going to develop by 2050 or by 2060 at the maximum, so you'll be developed, but you become old. Okay. So that is a one of the important phenomena which we need to consider in this aspect. Okay. So what will happen in that particular stage? So why we are much worried about this demographic transition?
because we'll have a very large dependent population
Okay.
and a
So,
lesser working population.
so the GDP growth rate the rate at which the GDP grows will be very less. Say, for example, now if India is growing at a rate of 6, so down the line, so after a few years of time, so it will be on an average 4 to 5, 3 to 5 max. Why? Because the working population is the actual drivers of the economy. So when this particular population is normalized or stabilized, so naturally that particular change will be less. And that's the reason why you can see European countries and American countries are having very less GDP growth, right? So that change will not be there. So only empty intestines will drive the economy. So that empty intestines will be 15 to 55. But unfortunately, that trigger will be very less. Okay. And remember, female labor participation, you need to go with that because India is having a positive shift towards it. And that is the factor which is bringing up more employment in India. Okay. So why there is a shift towards rural women workforce? So any idea?
For small scale business,
The scheme helps the MG Narepa give
See, it
guarantee.
was there for a very long period of time, right?
sir, increase in self-help groups and all.
Agriculture workers among female is increasing. Okay, that is one important reason. That is feminization of agriculture. We spoke it for a very long period of time. So, a decade ago, there was much of talk about feminization of agriculture. So, agriculture getting led by women. So, it happened, right? And then, say manual labor. Manual labor is very difficult now. Okay. So manual labor is now fed by female population, right? The women population now provide manual labor in various other areas because of migration of the male member or as you mentioned, the shift in Narega, shift in service industry in various other aspects. Okay. So more service industry come, more women will be recruited. So that's one of the reasons why we have more rural female population, which drives the workforce. Okay. Fine. So what is the condition of India's this one, that is your external market? Especially your current account deficit and your capital account. So what is your current account deficit and how is your capital account?
So we have a current account deficit presently, which is around 1.2 to 1.3%. While in case of the capital account, we have sufficient foreign exchange reserves. And I think a few months ago, or probably last year, we also had the highest level of forex reserves we had ever had. Now they have reduced, but we have a sufficient amount, around 8 to 9 months of coverage, which is more than that is needed.
Okay. Then, so it is around 1 to 1.3% of the GDP we have. Okay. And we have sufficient capital account also. Fine. So how you narrowed it down? How it got narrowed?
So the current account deficit?
So the service sector, so like during the COVID period and all, like the
So
service
it is
sector.
more of invisibles, right? So
Yes, sir.
invisibles played a major role in reduction of this particular thing. Okay. So what are the components of invisibles we had?
So we have service sector,
Service exports, okay.
remittances,
Remittances, especially private remittance, okay. So after COVID, we started having more recoveries, okay, then,
so factor income,
okay, so factor income, okay, then. Anything else? Anything else?
Sir, e-commerce will not come.
Yeah, all service exports, you can put it out, e-commerce, everything. That is all invisible exports.
Gift, so gift is also there.
Then, so mostly your imports were also not that costlier, right? So imports are also relatively cheaper. Say, for example, oil. So oil imports were much of a cheaper oil we had, okay? And we had much about goods which are, what do you call, imported. So we are not much importing about at a costlier rates. So goods were also cheaper. So since our imports became cheaper, so automatically you will narrow down your current account deficit. But still, your merchandise is unfavorable only. But we could narrow it down. And apart from that, overall balance of payment is always positive for us because except for a few years, because capital account is very good. Because you had many investments, right? You had sufficient borrowings coming in, investments coming in. So automatically we had this overall positive scenario. Right. So on part of remittances, which country has highest amount of remittance?
so India,
Okay, in India,
Kerala, sir.
hmm,
Kerala.
Kerala, sure.
Yes, sir.
Anybody? Anybody? Which state had highest remittance as of now?
Sir, what I saw it was Kerala only, sir.
As of now. It's still in between. Maharashtra also came, overtook, right?
so doesn't Maharashtra have more of investment and like
Investments
Kerala?
we have, but for a short period of time, they also even had remittances are higher. But anyway, as of now, again, the remittances would have grown um, after COVID. So naturally, Kerala should be again having it more. So anyway, you just check it once, right? Okay. So usually we have it from Middle East, right? UAE was once UAE was also even a top provider of remittance. Okay. Fine. So you just check Kerala alone, right? Once.
Okay, sir.
So after India, which country has higher remittances? Inward.
Mexico.
Mexico, and then China, right? So China comes third. Fine. Okay. So these are some important areas where we touched upon. So all these are areas which were touched upon in your economic survey as well as your general aspects on your Indian, and there is union budget, right? So union budget. So apart from that, you also check the union budget. So I haven't highlighted here, and it is just this one, right? Interim. So anyway, the government will provide a new budget in the month of June. So that budget, anyway, they will ask you in mains. So concentrate on that budget much because it will be completely revised. The new budget will be completely revised when the government comes in. So at the time, we will just have a look upon. Okay, now you can just have a look upon the economic survey. So those highlighted areas in economic survey, that will be largely helpful. For which area we need to concentrate much. Okay, so today we will conclude here, and in the next class we will have some idea on schemes. Okay, so those areas which we have indicated now. So on Friday we will have some idea on schemes, and then we'll go to other topics. Okay.